We lead with this at this hour. Insurance company Momentum is making changes to its death benefits policy. It says it will in future pay clients that are involved in violent crime an amount equal to the death benefit. This will be despite any medical non-disclosures. The changes will apply immediately to all its life cover clients and will be applied retrospectively. The insurer has recently come under fire after it refused to pay a policy worth 2.4 million rand to the family of Nathan Ganas. He was shot during a hijacking in his driveway last year. Momentum argued that he never disclosed his high blood sugar levels. On the line is Jeanette Murray, who is Momentum Investments CEO. Good evening, Jeanette, and thanks very much for your time. Quite an about turn. The criticism did really sting, didn't it?
Thank you, Vuyo, for the opportunity. And yes, it's been a very, very tough 2-3 days for us at Momentum, and I think mainly because we truly are in the business of paying claims. We have no reason for existence if our clients can't trust us and can't trust that their claims will be paid. So it's been a very tough time for us, and also because we truly care for our clients. The impression might have been that it's the opposite, but, it absolutely is not how we treat our clients, and it's not how we think about it. And it's been very hard for us.
Well, now that you're not in such a defensive mode as you were only a few hours ago, explain to us just what you were trying to argue, that in spite of the fact that a person died as a result of something else that had nothing to do with the illness, disclosed or not, and you were insisting on not paying on the... I mean, what's the rationale behind that? Explain that to us now that you can, I would imagine, speak a lot freely than was the case previously.
For you, yes. So I think what is incredibly important is that we absolutely are not departing from the very important principle that an insurance contract is based on trust from both sides, and that we cannot move away from the principle that non-disclosure is unacceptable. So I think we need to make that point. We are not departing from that at all. We will not have an insurance industry in South Africa if clients, think that it is okay to not disclose medical and health issues, because that is what we base our premiums on. That is what we base cover on. But what we have done here is we've heard the outcry that we live in a violent society and that something like this can happen at any point in time with any of us. And that what we cannot have is that families then get punished for the fact that, a member of our family haven't disclosed. And so this is very specifically to say that if a violent crime occurred and someone died from that, we will not go back and check history. We will not go back and underwrite the way we have. So I think it is important to also note that the Ganas case has been in front of the Ombudsman twice. They ruled in our favor twice. We were absolutely within the letter of the law. But we've heard that this is not always about the letter of the law. It's about caring for people. It's about listening. And I think that is what we're demonstrating, that we've done that. So this is not paid from policy proceeds. Clients who's actually disclosed do not have to worry that their premiums are now going to go up, because in future, Momentum will allow people to not disclose and then still be paid out. We're paying this from our profits. We're keeping it outside of that, but we understand that we cannot, blame and punish families if something like this does occur.
Now, if you're paying this, you're going to do this from your profits, and it's going to apply retrospectively and so on. And again, I'm not really kicking you while you're on the floor here. But what happened then to that, impassioned plea and argument that you were making, that if you were, to accede to the demand to pay this particular family, such cases would kill. That would mean death to your industry.
Well, Vuyo, what we have done is we've gone back in history and we found a few more of these cases. So let's also just state that right now in Momentum's claims history, we only have about 4 out of 1,000 cases where clients don't disclose and where then we do not pay the claim. So what we are not doing is succumbing to something that says we now condone non-disclosure. But we have compassion for people who are the victims of something that they have absolutely no control over. So let me make it clear. If a client, when they take out a policy, do not disclose certain medical history, and then they die from a related event, like I didn't tell you I have high blood pressure and I die from a heart attack, that is not changing here. But what we say is this is such an event without, anyone being able to control it, that we are willing to say we are not going to destroy an industry. And actually, we're not condoning non-disclosure, because who can ever predict that I don't disclose, get cover, and then die from an act like this? This is so random, but it is such a reality for South Africa that we feel it is the right thing to do.
I don't think, there will be a lot of people out there disagreeing with you on non-disclosure and its importance. But what about your own responsibilities? In other words, the people, you as an organization, do you not have a responsibility to make sure that you do your work before the time comes for somebody to claim? And the reason I'm raising this is because if you knew, or if at least you did your own follow-ups, you will have discovered this even before the person paid their first premium, that actually this person doesn't qualify. And you wouldn't have had to raise that only when at a stage where the person has to claim.
For you asked me a brilliant question. So let me explain that. If from tomorrow, Momentum and actually the entire industry get to a point where we cannot trust that when our clients tell us that they don't suffer from certain medical conditions, if we start to mistrust every single client who applies for a policy and we start to test them for all sorts of medical conditions that may or may not exist, nobody in South Africa will be able to afford life insurance. That is why a life insurance policy is 100% based on trust. We have to trust that our clients tell us the truth when they take out policies. So what we're not doing is to compromise an entire industry and society by now not trusting and by now testing everything for anything that they could possibly not have disclosed. That is the basis of, insurance. An insurance contract is based on that utmost trust. So if we do what you suggest we do, which is that we now don't trust that our clients tell us the truth, and we start to punish the honest people by now sending them for all sorts of tests that is going to cost us money, which means we're going to pass it on to them, means they're not going to be able to ever afford insurance. We will kill our industry. So what we're saying is this: we are not punishing our honest clients, but we are willing to make an exception to the families of people where this has occurred. And therefore, we're not going to punish them, but we're not making our honest clients pay for that. We will pay for it.
Just looking back at what this particular episode has taught you, because outside of the legalese of the past few days, there are people who felt you could have actually gotten away with just dealing with this case quietly and privately, and you would not have brought yourself to the situation you are in right now. Or is it a question of better late than never?
Yeah, I think it is probably better late than never, but also let's just go back there. We cannot, just because we anticipate that we might get massive backlash, start to suddenly change all of our underwriting policies and now say, oh, we see a client didn't disclose, but just because we're worried that there's going to be an outcry, let's just abandon all our principles and pay them. That would not be the right thing to do. But I think what we're demonstrating is that we truly have listened. Our actuaries worked, around the clock to come up with a solution for us. So I think, what we're saying here is that just to abandon all of the good principles that our business and our industry is based on, because we fear outcry, will also not be the right thing to do.
And you don't think that by now stretching this to cover all your life cover clients and the fact that this is going to be applied respectively, you don't think you are overcompensating, and perhaps this might just be a decision that you will regret a little later?
No, we don't think so. So I think also to make that clear, in the last year or so, we've actually repudiated a few more of these claims. Those families did not go to the media. They did not, run and get public support for it. Why should they be compromised just because they didn't? That's why we feel we should go back and we should treat them exactly the same. And they should get the exact same treatment. We have looked at it. And remember, I want to reiterate the point. Only 4 out of 1,000 clients we have is where we find that there were a claim based on medical non-disclosure, i.e., on average, 4 out of 1,000 claims in the last 2 years. In fact, that was in 2017. We've repudiated on these grounds. So we know it's not going to kill us. It's not going to be something that we will regret. And again, I think, the whole industry need to look at the society we live in and the fact that this is possibly something that all of us should be doing in future.
Okay, that's where we're going to leave it. Thanks very much for your time, Jeanette from Momentum, after that about 10 that they made.